I start my presentations and my lectures and my thoughts by saying Africa has made great contributions to global architecture throughout the centuries. In fact, the very first significant architecture on Earth was not only designed by our Africans, built by Africans, but was right here in Africa. Architecture changes every day. And the beautiful thing is that if we have an Afrocentric architecture, we can continuously add to it because we've only scratched the surface.
Since we were stampeded to lose our traditional model, no substitute has really been provided.
Afrocentric architecture is, what Afrofuturism is, and what African space will look like when it's designed and built by us. I'm a young student, 23, third year School of Architecture, enjoying my program and never thought that anything was missing in my education. Until one day I went to a NOMA conference, National Organization of Minority Architects, and I attended as a student, and there was this professor, Professor Hughes, talking about his research in Afrocentric architecture. He had toured the entire continent of Africa, documenting what architects were doing.
And so, yeah, we are now getting this point where people like you, people like me, certainly people like our good friend and Nmadili Okwumabua will do, and that's, get out there and tell the truth.
So I went back to campus and I decided that that next semester's project, I would focus, I would remember my culture and identity. And I thought it was an amazing project. But during jury that semester, at the end of the semester, my professor just said, there's no place for this.
What I'm saying now is, whether you like it or not, there are great architects who also are Africans. Not only are they Africans and from the diaspora, but they use African precedent, African elements and art and inspiration to do their architecture.
And so that was the moment that just kind of sparked, in me, this passion, this fervor to research and find out what happened to Africa. Why don't we have our own design language? And that led on the journey to developing CPDI Africa. So I went on later to form the CPDI Africa Global Studio for Afrocentric architecture. What are those elements? What's the lens that you're going to look through to begin to create space that tells our story? Hello everyone, my name is Nmadili Okwumabua. Welcome to Idumuje Uboko in Delta State. We're going to take a visit to the home of Dima Swanko, who is Nigeria's premier African designer who builds from a sustainable perspective. So, welcome once again and enjoy with me. Okay. All right, guys. So now we are in the house I was telling you about, okay? So welcome and come on in. All the wonderful examples building our blocks. Okay, you guys. Come and look. Wow, right? Exciting, yes. So this is an example of a house that's built with the materials we've been learning about all day, all right? The laterite blocks, okay? This is the villa of Dimas Wonko, and he has perfected using his blocks and his design philosophies to make a house that is truly sustainable for our communities.
I did it deliberately, and I expect it to catch on. It is the effect that was achieved by our traditional architects that designed and refined this to the extent that it met virtually all the aesthetic qualities, environmental qualities that was needed to live comfortably in our climate.
When I met, Dimas, it was just mind-boggling to talk to him, to see what he did, to see his range. Very few people can say in one sentence all of the things that he is. So the first thing I tell people about Afrocentric architecture is that it's not just the notion of a style or a way of doing architecture, it's the way of thinking.
And what we see here is Dimas Wonko has perfected preserving culture and sustainability in the materials that he uses, all right? So just looking at this block wall here, there are so many different variations of how he uses clay and laterite. We see this one, there's a one behind me. We have several outside. But what's fantastic is the material is coming right from the site itself. Right? So it's not costing anybody anything, and it's not impacting the ozone or climate change. None of that is part of his story, right? When you harvest the materials from your site, you make your own blocks, you build your own building. It's affordable, it's sustainable, the techniques have been mastered, right? The spaces allow for air to flow in. So our houses typically are cool when we use clay. I had to really give up a lot believing in this dream. So a champion by default, but my heroes truly sacrificed. Again, I'm going to have to say Dimas Wonko and David Hughes. Following in their footsteps, they encouraged me to keep going. Today, you hear the word Afrocentric everywhere. Curriculums now have an influence. Now you can go to a school, whether it's in Europe, America, or even in Nigeria, and take courses in African architecture and have your professors support you a little bit more, because we've made so much noise in promoting it. The fact that we have students who sign up for our global studio, it shows that we made an impact.
Africa for me is a very attractive continent. I don't have many chance to know about African architecture. There are not so many competition about Africa. So I think CPDI competition is a very good chance for me to understand more about African architecture.
So one of the ways we got started was by launching international Afrocentric architecture competitions. So I knew that one of the best ways to get the conversation started was to open the conversation to all designers, all creatives. You didn't have to be African. You could be from anywhere, Asia, Europe, wherever. So in 2015, we launched our first Afrocentric architecture competition. We gave the designers a design brief saying pretty much these 5 elements. Pick any African culture, you choose whether it's yours, or if you're not from Africa, your favorite, and apply these elements. Do the research. If you're going to choose an Ashanti design to build, then look at Ashanti culture, spirituality, their aesthetics, all of those things, and give us a building that represents that identity. A modern version, a contemporary version of that, not just a traditional, let's evolve, fast track. We believe that the next generation will take it, they'll be prepared to take it, because they would have learned through our global studio for African-centered architecture. It's an online academic platform, a place where if you're not getting the information in your standard university curriculums, there's a parallel space where you can go and type in there, I want to learn Ga architecture. So what professors are teaching Ga? I want to learn Nupe architecture. Who's teaching Nupe? So our global studio, it being virtual, means that it's accessible to people all over the world. We're training the next generation with our own pedagogy, and at some point, we're hoping that schools will incorporate our curriculums. The pivotal moment for CPDI Africa, when both of our mentors began to get international recognition for the work that they had done, that inspired us at CPDI Africa. Let me say the opportunity to design and build the Uku residence. The fact that a friend trusted, believed him and the wife and the children, they entrusted us to, oh my God, to bring their identity into their home.
So being friends from the very beginning, there was no way we weren't going to discuss when we finally were able to build our own home.
My name is Nmadili Okwumabua. I was born in Abuja. I'm passionate about designing spaces, writing, painting.
How can we do it sustainably, and how can we still have our Igbo Shekiri fusion?
I grew up in this city as a kid. I truly appreciated the Wagi community.
Because we had never seen this done quite the way we were thinking. So we felt like, what if this doesn't work?
Since we've done Mamba, we've seen the move towards Afrocentric design, even with the lanterns.
I was talking about partnerships and why it was important for any kind of practice to actually engage in partnerships to move forward. And then someone I'd never met before, called Nmadili, got up to speak about African architecture. I was entranced, basically. And that was the beginning of the end of a regular architecture practice. So it was years and years of talking about African architecture, and I was tired of talking. We made sure that with our architecture, we'd always try to put in something African in it. So real estate-wise, we wanted to prove that, a building of this kind of nature would actually be profitable. You put on your AC in the morning and you can put it off and it keeps the place cool.
You talk about the community Nmadili has put together. Everybody with this mindset that there's a way to live sustainably and African, and for it to be beautiful and for it to cost you less.
And, you know, Nmadili is really pushing.
We've had this relationship with CPDI and Nmadili for, I guess, almost 10 years. And it's been one that, like I said, changed for me the direction of how I wanted to practice architecture.
So the next decade is about making sure that our architects join us and they have the courage to take it to the next step. We learned from our international exhibitions that people would say, when they would see the designs on display, they would say, where have you all been hiding this? Such a breath of fresh air. Architecture can look like this. It can be African and beautiful. Where did we get this? We want one. Why have the architects been hiding this from us?
So, is it worth it? Absolutely.
The next 10 years is building our own version of architecture.
You're just amazing, you're an inspiration, you're a fighter, and you're a visionary. I love you so much, and I love CPDI.
CPDI has so many people to thank. First of all, our creator, my family, GC Okwumabua's family, my mom, Magnolia, my dad, Jeffrey Chukwuka, my siblings. They had to take care of me while I was sacrificing everything to build CPDI.
They have made so much impact across Nigeria and Africa in promoting African architecture. And the one word I have for Nmadili is thank you.
We can't wait for the next phase. Happy 10th anniversary.
Happy anniversary to CPDI Africa. We love our community of family and friends. All of us, again, oh yeah, my interns.
Happy 10th anniversary.
Thank you. And welcome everybody to celebrate with us on our 10-year anniversary. We've come a long way, and thanks to our community. Thank you.